Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back to another video. In this one we're going to be doing something slightly different. We're going to be analyzing my point of view of a race that happened last week. So for those who don't know, ANZIA Racing is currently running a multi-part tournament series called the Sim Racing League. This is a tournament that is hosted completely on Arena Commander, and every single event will be hosting its own class. So for the first day, we were running the ACRUX class, which basically limited the race to only the Razor or the M50. Now the way the format of the race goes is as soon as we all party up, we will have a wheel with all the tracks. EchoBit will spin the wheel, it will choose a track, and we'll be racing that track for that session. In this case, we got the Snake Pit. I chose to go with the Razor because I am way more confident in the Razor than I am in the M50, but in the video we're gonna see it can get a little choppy sometimes. But throughout the video you'll start to learn that even if you make mistakes, as long as you can keep consistently slowly improving and working on the parts where you feel like you're lacking, you can get a very good result. You will see later in the video. If you like this kind of content, make sure to hit that like button and comment down below what you guys think I could do to improve this kind of format. I really want to do more of these, but your feedback is very, very helpful. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I did record this analysis session live on my stream, which you can catch on twitch.tv/Jacobin or right here on my YouTube channel. I do stream twice a week, so if you want to see the next one live, make sure to follow there so you don't miss out. Without further ado, enjoy the analysis. Okay, Heat 1, Round 1. I managed to get a podium position, and you're already going to see in this first race it's going to be a little bit wobbly. So, turn 1, normal stuff. I feel relatively confident in this turn, to be completely honest. I still take as safe a line as possible. Now here, I do take it a bit too slow. Thankfully, I still actually got some grip here. You'll see in this first round of heats, specifically, I will be a little bit wobbly. In fact, here do I stall out or do I do it well? Okay, round 1 was pretty well. So I do have the results, which I can show, but let's just go through the race. So far, to be completely honest, relatively smooth. I could be doing the TVI, managing the TVI a little bit better here. Yeah, here I go way too low and I have to slow down a bit. Liquid gets a very nice overtake, but I keep the outside line. I get a nice cut on the inside. Yeah, the TVI is still way below my crosshair here, and you'll see that it forces me to go wide here. So here I try to bring it back in. Still keep my TVI here. Nice. Now here, I always opt for the drift into this. I always opt for the drift into that turn because I did not want to risk it, honestly. You can pitch and you will gain like a second off your lap. Might be a bit exaggerated, but you will gain at least, you know, half a 3/10, maybe half a second if you pitch, because you will maintain your speed, whereas I'm slowing down. But it's the safest way to do it. Yeah, you can see there that I went a bit too high on the crane. This part, I think here is where I stall out of it. So yeah, so you can see Liquid is taking it the right way, right? He pitches up and look at the gap that he's able to make just by being able to pitch up. So very nicely done from him. That was race 1. Unfortunately, in race 1, Liquid actually missed the checkpoint on that last one, so I did end up taking the win here. So, unfortunate for Liquid, because definitely deserved the win there. But, unfortunately, we had to abide by the Arena Commander rules set there. So. Okay, Heat 1, Round 2. Same thing, I managed to get into the front quite often, to be completely honest, but I do have somebody on my left. I think that's Ninjedi, but I do have a very decent start off the line. Once again, I have Liquid on my left. I take this way too low. Holy crap. I think I was leaving some space from someone behind me. I think this one is going to be a relatively clean win, because I won the first 2 races and then I proceed to just get nothing but P2s for the rest of the evening, except for the last race. So I think this one is just a nice, safe, safe P1, because Liquid and Tint, as you can see on the right, if you can see, oh no, my camera's hiding it, I'm sorry. They do collide, so I do end up getting a little bit of a gap behind me, so I try not to push too much, but at the same time, I'm trying to keep my pace up, right? So, yeah, here, I start pitching a bit too early. So it does slow me down a bit. I do still manage to keep that TVI there, so that's fine. Oh. Okay. Oh, I'm super low there. I think that I did feel that once I got a bit too low, I think I let off the throttle there for a second. I started panicking a bit. At this point, this is still like 2:30 in the morning for me, so I was still slowly waking up, getting the energy back. I'm still doing, 37-second laps, considering some wobbles there and some inconsistencies in the line. I think it's pretty decent. Now here I go way too wide. I let off the throttle a bit and it allows me to go back into the line. But then I was not able to control it and right into the crane I go. Thankfully I was able to get off immediately from the line, so I did not get the bug where I get stuck there for like 10 seconds. It does happen a lot in this event though, so to a lot of people too. Very unfortunate. Very wide, but there we go. Race complete with the fastest lap at 37.460. Not too bad. Honestly, not too much to comment except for the in the second lap, the way I took the entry into the crane was a bit too slow, so it compromised the entry into Emerald Avenue there. So best thing to do there is honestly just commit to the turn, so it'll help you to snap to the TBI. So let's see if I can find it really quickly. Now, this is the beginning of the race. Lap after this. Alright, yeah, let's start from here. So this should be the beginning of lap 2. Yeah, 37.465 was the fastest lap of this one. Here, I think I angled my ship a bit too low here. And from here, I started way too wobbly. I take it super wide, and then I go to snap, but for some reason I snap above the racing line, so it just immediately goes into the crane. Unfortunate, but still managed to maintain the lead there. Okay, race number 3. For Heat 1, this was still against Group 1, which consisted of Tint Energy, Cat 740, Ninja D, and Liquid Prime. Here I do believe that Liquid Prime does come out with the win here. As I make a mistake, I go super wide, I do not commit. You see when I say you full commit? As soon as I come from here, I see all these people in front of me and I say, I need to give them some space, right? So what I do is I don't use full throttle, which compromised the aero grip that I had when I went for the pitch. Tint unfortunately hits the top of the crane there, so it does get blown up for a second. And now it's just chasing down Liquid. I think I do manage to lower the gap just a little bit, but honestly, Liquid flew a very solid race. Definitely deserved to take the win in this one. Yeah, so for this lap, it's just chasing down Liquid and trying to find opportunities for an overtake. I like this line, to be honest. It's very nice and smooth. Here, once again, I get the panic from the previous one, and there you go. I have this thing sometimes, just either when I'm tired or when I'm overthinking, that I get PTSD from previous accidents, and then instead of avoiding it, I do exactly the same thing. Now here, 100% my fault. I'm gonna go back to this. So here, as I was saying, I got PTSD from the previous round, and I did exactly the same thing. I went in a bit too wide, and then when I went to snap, I ended up snapping at the very top of the crane here. Really not what you want to do. You want to try and aim to snap at this part of the ridge. Residual anxiety, yeah, that is exactly what it is, Gerbil. So here I snap a bit too high, and as you can see, I end up facing the top side of the crane, because as you're snapping, you also have to rotate towards the next turn, right? So that's why you want to try to aim at the top of the hill here, not to the left of it, just so you can at least get a nice clean line through. So here I make the same mistake as I did before. I respawn again, and as soon as I respawn, I'm stuck, as you can see, with the AC bug. Ninjetti just sweeps by me right here. He's on my right, and I don't know his line. And at this point, I'm just focusing on, I just crashed twice, or no, I just crashed in the same as before. I really need to stop making the same mistakes. So here I see him, he's just above me. Yes, you can see. So I figure he's taking the inside line. So I try to stay to the middle here, and then I make the mistake of cutting into this. Let me just repeat this. I make the mistake of, instead of staying wide, I do cut into this section. So the ideal thing with him being on the inside line here, I should have stayed wide and then did a snap to TVI towards the next breaking point. But instead I followed the line and we ended up colliding. So you can argue that he also went a little bit wide just so that he can get to the same line here, because the ideal spot here is at the very left side of this crane. So, but it's just unfortunate we were just there at the same time. But I will take responsibility of this, because when you're the person behind, it's your responsibility to not cause a crash, right? So if I were to have had an opportunity for a clean overtake, I should have taken the line that gave me the overtake. It's up to the person who's the back to make that call, because the guy in the front, we don't have side view mirrors, and the rear view camera takes your eyes off of the racing line, right? So it's not like you can take a glance what's behind you whilst also seeing what's ahead of you. So with the current state of things, the person behind takes full responsibility in this case. So my fault here, kind of messed up Ninjetti's line here. I once again get stuck with the AC bug, thankfully not for too long. I take the lower line to avoid that collision there, and at this point I think I got clear of Ninjetti if he's right behind me. So now the race continues. Now at this point in my head I'm like, oh my god, I just caused a collision, I repeated the same mistake. So this race is very, very wobbly, and it's gonna continue that for like the next 2 or 3 races, where I'm in my head all the time. And see, once again, I aimed for the wrong spot. I just barely missed the crane there. But yeah, that corner, it took me quite some time for me to regain my confidence here. So as you can see, I'm even stalling in this corner. So this lap was kind of, I was in my head throughout the whole thing. The kind of slowdown that I got from that last corner was helping me regain my line. So it was more the first half of the it was quite the speed difference, definitely hard to avoid. Yeah, definitely. So that was the end of heat 1, which ended with me getting first in the first 2 rounds and second in the 3rd round. So day 1, heat 2. I stayed in the racer for the whole time. This time I'm against a different group, and I'm against Jelly this time. Ninja D is also in our group here as well, along with Herbie, Energy, and I believe Danvers was a spectator here. So far I start off with the lead, but I know Jelly is right there somewhere, so I'm still looking for Jelly. As you can see, I'm still in my head in that same corner throughout the whole time. I was not able to, it took me quite some time to regain confidence in that turn, because that turn is a full commit turn, right? So you want to either fully commit to it or drift and just take it nice and slow. So here I go a little bit too low, but as long as you don't crash, I guess it's fine. If you're gonna take the safe line, just safe survival is the first thing, right? So here I think I take this line pretty nice, just perfectly in the top corner, gets exactly in the line that I want, and now I'm pushing and I'm trying to do my best to regain my confidence. That is exactly how you take it, right? You aim at the top left of the hill, you get it perfectly into the middle, you pitch up, you get to here, and then full send, you gray out a bit, and that's perfect. See, that is exactly how you're supposed to take the line. So at this point, I am slowly, you know, telling myself, okay, it's time to go fast. No more panicking. No more, it's 3 a.m, I'm tired. None of that. I still make some mistakes throughout the night. I'm not gonna pretend that everything went perfectly, but I do slowly start to regain the confidence in this section as well. As you can see, perfectly goes over the hill, gets right in the middle, pitch up, and then here I struggle to get the TPI, but at that point I was like, you know what, just keep on the line. Obviously, there are several ways that you could do this cleaner, but the 36.9 is a very fast lap. So For a race pace, I think that was still handled pretty well. Round 2. I am starting, is this pole position? Well, pole or second place. Here I do try to cut in the front so I can get a so I can block that line, but I do end up going wide, so Jelly still manages to slip in through it. So Jelly head made, for those who don't know, very, very, very fast racer. And there I made the mistake of rotating in too soon, and I ended up clipping the very long tail wings of the Razor against the hill. So unfortunate. At that point, I was just looking at Jelly's icon instead of actually focusing where I was. So once again, just to show, you know, distractions can lead to very bad results. Now, once again, it's just a chasing game. I tell you, I made enough mistakes that I wasn't able to secure too many wins. However, I did have consistent performance for the situations where I did not make too many mistakes to actually get a good result there. So there was almost another collision happening, but I was confident in my ability to pitch through that, so I decided to commit to it anyways. Thankfully, I had the pace to go around foul out there. So, and as you can see with my boost as well, I'm using it relatively sparingly. I am not trying to go for an optimal lap here. So I am trying to keep my boost here. You see, I even slow down here just to say, you know what, I am not risking it again. So safety first. Always, when it comes to racing, pace is very good, obviously important for securing wins. But when you're in a situation like this where Jelly is having a very clear lead, because the M50, if flown well, will outperform the Razor, and he's performing very, very well in the M50. So it's very difficult for the Razor to beat out the M50 in a situation like this, even though the Razor technically is in a much more natural habitat in a place like Snake Pit. But the M50, if flown well, is super, super good. So, round 3, heat 2. Let's go. I do get another crash at some point. I believe it was with Jelly, but none of us saw each other. So here, once again, I'm still panicking in that corner. You can tell because I end up pitching up over the racing line. And here I could do a better job at snapping to TVI sooner, so I don't have to... Wow. Let me just go back to that real quick. So here, at the straight, so here once again, obviously I'm panicking. So here, when I pitch up, I should be over pitching and then snapping back down to the TVI instead of doing what I was doing here, and I point my crosshair towards the line and then bring the TVI to it. That's just slower. Having the team captain in your ear can sometimes help. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, so the best thing that I could have done here is pitch up to look at the tip of the hill here, so I can bring that TVI towards the racing line and then snap back down to it rather than doing this, because this is slower. And now that I have to pitch, TVI has caught up to the previous position, but now it has to alter again. So had my TVI been there already, when I did this move, it did not have that much of a distance to get to the crosshair. And by the time that the TVI reaches, once again, I'm pitching up. So here, I pitched up a bit too late, and it ends up going a little bit too wide, and I'm already pulling Gs because I wasn't snapping the TVI, right? So when you're pulling up throughout Emerald Avenue, you are applying G strain on your body. So when you end up coming to this turn, if you did not manage to get that TVI to your crosshair and level out your flight, you are going into this turn with a lot of G strain. So when I do this turn, I have all the G's still straining on me from the whole back straight, and I end up almost blacking out here, and that was very, very close to the hill. So at this point, I slow down a bit and I look towards the outside line, just so I try to avoid hitting the crane. I slow down a bit and then regain control at this turn. Once again, I take this turn in a 45-degree angle just because it's safer to do so. You can consistently get through that corner safely if you do that. Like, once again, if you pitch, much faster, but I just wanted to go for survival here. So here, I'm once again training that confidence into the turn. You could see I actually was a little bit slower there, but I just wanted to get the line in check. And here you could see I got my TVI to that nose, and when I'm doing this pull, I didn't get anywhere close to blacking out. So you could see the difference that it does when you do bleed your Gs before you take that turn. And here I did not bring my TVI. Oh. All right, in this race, I'm actually very, very close to Jelly, because I believe that there was that he crashed at some point. So we ended up having a nice battle on the last lap. Or was it this race? No, it wasn't this race. Ugh. Every time that I was seeing Jelly, I was focusing on where he was going instead of what I was doing. So in the first heat, or in the first round of the heats, I saw him at the pinch, or in that crane section where I was constantly panicking, and I ended up hitting the wall. In this section, we met at the end of the back straight just before that 180 turn, and I ended up blacking out. So that just goes to show that my attention was not actually on what I was doing, but on what was around me. So I just needed to pay attention to what was happening around me, but focus on what I was doing. And it is something that I was progressively telling myself throughout the evening, and I think my performance in the finals was much better because of it. So in these first two heats, I was struggling a bit with keeping my focus and not, I guess, panicking. Then in heats, in heat 3 and in the finals, I definitely improved on that. All right, so heat 3, I'm against Jelly and Liquid, along with Faulau, Energy, and Geekster. This is a very intense race here with the top 3 positions, but once again, you see, this is something that is very common with me in this event, where as soon as I see someone, my eyes go to them, not to where I'm going. So here I see Liquid, right? And I'm thinking, is he taking the inside line or is he taking the outside line? So my focus is seeing, what is he gonna do? And I completely forget that I'm heading towards a wall. So something that even I struggle to do sometimes. Whether it's because you're tired, whether it's because you didn't mentally prepare for the race or something, but you know, everybody makes mistakes. But in this particular event, the one thing that I'm highlighting is the importance of understanding your line. So at this particular moment, unless I was confident that I was gonna overtake Liquid at the turn, I should have just paid attention to where I was going. So it's very easy when you have somebody in front of you to look at where they're going, to see either how you're going to mimic what they're doing or to see how you can avoid crashing into them. But in this particular case, I was monitoring what Liquid was doing, but I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing, and boom, into the wall I go. Then once again, the AC bug. So now I have to get past 2 more people because there's Tint above me, no, that wasn't Tint, I believe that was Ninjady, and Faulau in front of me. There's also Energy, who had a very good performance this event. So now from here, I'm just trying to get back into focus and follow my own lines. I see Liquid up ahead. I think I just got the pass on Energy there. So at this point, I'm trying to get myself into the time trial mindset. In fact, I go full send in this corner, and that is exactly what you need to do. That is exactly how you're supposed to take that turn. Here, once again, as I was saying, I overshot the turn and then snapped down to the TVI, which allowed me to bleed some Gs. I still gray out a little bit here, but nothing too serious. I do slowly start catching up, but at that point, after the accident, after the crash, I don't think it would have been recoverable without Liquid making the mistakes here, so I just focus on finishing and securing P3. I do get close to Liquid here, but at this point, I'm not looking at Liquid. Here, I said, okay, just focus on what you're doing. If you pass, you pass. So here, I just full send through. Liquid's up ahead. I do try and go a little bit high because I know that he's gonna cut in from the lower section of that line. So I do go a little bit high up because his line is faster than mine in that particular point, right? Liquid had the confidence and had the practice to take that line with a pitch. So I knew he was going to be faster there. So I went a little bit higher into that section. So here I tried to go a little bit higher, right? So I stay up here because the line that he was taking ends up coming in the bottom left corner of this gate. And in fact, he comes out right from below me to my right. So that's what I mean. At that point where I knew where that line was gonna end up, and I wasn't paying attention to where he was going or what he was doing, because I saw him take that line beforehand. I knew where he was going, so I did not have any reason to panic there, right? I just elevated myself just a little bit over where I would normally go, just in case. But I did all of that consciously. So round 2, heat 3. Started that turn in a little bit too early, but I got a nice clean line through. Here I saw Liquid on my right, and I did not feel like I had the space to take the wide entry, so I decided to do a 45-degree angle here. So if we look at that again, as soon as we came through here, I did start my turn in a little bit early, but this allowed me to take this nice tight line, but I saw him super close to me at this point. And from here, I decided I'm not going to follow his line, because if I do, I didn't know what was going to happen. So here, he was taking the line that you would normally take, right? So you would go straight, you would head towards the middle of the gate here and then pitch up hard. But I wanted to see if I had enough space to make a cut on the inside line with a 45-degree turn. It is slower, but you know, when you don't know what's going to happen, you have to choose safety, right? Because if I were to follow his line and for some reason or another I would have taken it sharper, we might have crashed there. So I let him take the outside line like that, and I just stayed as tight as I could to the crane here, knowing that when he comes out of his line, he's going to be on the outside of this crane, or that would actually be the inside line at that point. But I just wanted to keep to my line, give him the space, and there you go. He managed to get past through. Obviously, got a bit of distance on me at that point, but I'm just trying to keep it safe. Now at this point, it's a chasing game, so I push, and once again, I take the inside line here, but I saw him pass through, so I could stay low towards the cliff. I'm still chasing Liquid. Looking for a tight line here, so I can get a straight line through. Now I know I have the space for this, so I go full send through this corner. Nice, I managed to get the TVI in line. I snap. I snapped twice there, okay, but I managed to get the TVI in, which means I can push hard here, and I did not need to back out. That's very good. Again, gets that tight line, stay low to the ground here. Managed to get a little bit of distance back up onto Liquid here. So now we are super close going into this first corner. I think I go a little bit low here. And here, this is good. This gets risky. See what happened here? So when we went through this turn, I saw him taking the same line as before, right? But at this point, I had a choice to make. Do I want to take it the same way that I did in the first lap, where I take a 45-degree angle, or is the distance here enough that I can use the same line? And in my eyes at this point, I said, well, there is enough distance, let's take it. However, I start my turn too early. You'd normally start the turn, let's see if I can get a nice good angle here. You'd normally start the turn when you get close to this cliff here, or at least just under the crane, just under this pipe, sorry, so that you could take a nice cut through. But I started my turn too early, and now I'm almost at the apex of my turn. You could see where Liquid is. He's much further ahead at the same angle with the ship. So I started my turn in a bit too early, and you can see that the TPI is just gonna drop back, and it's gonna induce a little bit of a stall, and then boom. So small mistake that I made, and I believe Jelly actually hit that crane as well at this point. So, but yeah, I recover from that, and once again we go full send, and now it's another chasing game. I think did Liquid and Geekster had the collision here? Because I see Liquid crashes here. Oh, maybe he hit the crane at the top here, because he respawns right in front of me, and it allows me to get some distance. Spoiler alert, I do finish P2 in this race, but I was not able to catch up to Liquid despite the mistake. So yeah, made a few errors or misjudgments in which line to take when I was side by side, but those are some things that you have to experience to know how to take them, right? So sometimes it's a matter of knowing the person that you are racing and what kind of lines they were taking. So I've raced, obviously I'm in the same team with Liquid, but I knew the lines that he was taking, because I know the lines that he takes, and I was trying to alter my line so I don't get in his way, because I knew at that point he was faster than me. So I just wanted to get through quickly, but without getting in his way. I did not. My first thing is always, if I can avoid the collision, I will avoid the collision, right? Again, you want to do it in the fastest way possible. So I was just experimenting with lines that I could do. But with the flight model the way it is, sometimes if you don't go full send, it's not gonna work out for you. So those are the mistakes that I were making very consistently throughout this event. All right, P3, round 3, last one before the finals. Jelly with the inside line. Here I try to stay as tight to the cliff as I can. I think he's gonna pull back a little bit and then overtake after this section. There he is, there's Liquid to my left. Here I just try to have that nose on TVI so I can get a nice sharp line here. At this point, me and Liquid are still a little bit head to head, but here I take the inside line and he cuts right across there. So it does end up, in fact, actually he crashes. So you see here, I tried to take this line here. This is when I tried to take it safely, this is the line that I tried to get, right? I tried to get to this section of the barrack of the gate, and then I push with the main so I can immediately look at the straight. But with the line that Liquid was taking, you would start at this section here, just between the tip of the crane and the antennas, and you would cut through this bottom section right here, and you would straighten up right here. So you would straighten up at the somewhere around the middle to the bottom right side of the gate. But the fact that he cut across the way I did, let me just go through it again. So I think because here I'm seeing him in front of me, it ended up compromising the line, and he might have gone a bit too wide here. In fact, I do believe that he crashed. I'm gonna have to bail so my phone doesn't die. Great racing, SRL though. Thanks, dude. So yeah, in fact, you can see here that the angle of the line is actually really good, because you can tell that he's going exactly where the line should be. I just think that he might have started his line a little too late. So he goes wide, and boom, Liquid Prime does unfortunately crash there. So we're heading into, I forgot if this is lap 2 or lap 3. Forgot. Yeah, Jelly is hot on my tail right now. I do believe I make a mistake at one point, and that's why I end up losing the lead. So here you could see it's a little bit wobbly, not ideal. I don't lead my G's very well here, and in fact I do start to black out a bit. Yeah, that's the line that I take, and I would aim at the left hand side of this gate here, so then I can pitch through and then end up straight where I need to go for this next lap. So final lap now. Got a nice tight line. You stay on the outside of the gate, and as soon as you go under it, then it's full thrust forward. So that's exactly how you're supposed to do it. Now pitch up, over pitch, and snap down that TVI. So here, ideally, just if we're being nitpicky, right? This is an analysis, right? So when you do here, you will over pitch. You see how I'm pitching over where the racing line is? Then I bring that TVI so it meets the crosshair during the straight, and it maximizes my acceleration. Ideally, you get it perfectly aligned, but the closer you are to the TVI, you'll still get the effect. But if you're dead center, then you get the maximum effect. So here I start pitching up, but the ideal scenario is that you would apply verts as well, so you can bring that TVI and the crosshair up together, or as what's known in the racing community as a zero G turn, sorry, a zero drag turn, which basically you would synchronize the vert up rate and the pitch up rate, so that the crosshair and the TVI will come up together. And you just maximize acceleration here, basically, but that's being nitpicky with the technique. Here, once again, as soon as you get to the grain, you turn all the way in, go straighten up. We're aiming at the left of the gate here, and I believe here it's. Do I see Jelly anywhere here? Jelly's 14. Do I win this one? I don't recall winning the third race of the heat. I'm very confused. Did I win this one? No, I came second. Oh wait. No, round 3 I did win. Oh my god. I completely forgot I won that. Okay. Race number 1. In the finals, we had... If you look at the chart here, based on the positions of the heats, we had Liquid Prime with the top points from all the heats at 50. Jelly had made just second place with 49 points. Then there was me with 47 points. There was Tint with 37 points. Cats 740 with 29 points. Energy with 27 points. And Herbie with 25 points. So those are the 8 racers that we had. That was 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, sir. Okay. Finals, race number 1. There we go. And we're off. I'm just trying to get a nice tight line here, and I am very much aware about with everyone here. And in fact, I take this as slow as I can, and I end up hitting the wall once again, all the time that I have to say. When you're in a position like this, where you have so many ships in front of you, it's very, very difficult. I will really admit, unless you just ignore everything that's happening, right? But in this particular case, I had Jelly in the M50 on the left, Herbie in the Razor right in front of me, and I believe this was Liquid. But you could tell that with the line that I was taking and the way they took their lines, I was catching up here. So I had to let off just a little bit here. And in fact, you can see the throttle line is going down. I had to let off a bit. and that compromised me. Sorry, I messed up VLC a little bit there. So let's start and look at this again. So oh, that was energy and tint. Yeah, okay. So I'm trying to take a nice tight line here through. That was Herbie, tint, and there was energy there. Oh no, that's jelly. Okay, great. And because I saw 3 people heading in that line, and I knew that I was catching up to Herbie and tint because of the line that I chose versus them, that I figured might as well take the inside line again. But instead of taking it at a 45-degree angle, I decided to pitch, and it ended up just going way too off. And I did not crash, so did not lose too much time. There's cats there. I believe there was a collision here as well. So when I recovered here, there's a collision because Liquid Prime just spawned in front of me here. So it's there's a lot of the fun thing about the finals is because there were 8 racers instead of 6. There was just 2 more overtakes that you had to do if you had the opportunity. So it's very, very fun. I mean, I love these kind of races. So ooh, and there I had a collision with energy. I don't think I had vision on him. So energy was taking the outside line here. And I knew because I was spectating energy after the race. By spectating, I mean just floating above the track and watching their lines. I knew that they were taking the wide entry into this gate and using kind of like a pancake aero brake, and then using their mains to push, right? So I was still trying to take my line, which is basically going right up across this hill here, but maybe by the time that I got to this line, he managed to get through the gate and activate his mains, and we ended up colliding right there. So it's racing incident, you know, just I don't think there was any fault there, just both of us were doing separate lines, and it's just racing incident. I had no intention of getting in his way, and I don't think he had any intention of crashing into me. So here I'm trying to give the space. That's why I went a little bit low there, and I take a wide line so I can use the pitch. And I think from here at this point I stop caring at that quarter, to be completely honest, and I just full send the whole way through. So here I have a nice 3-way battle between Tint, Liquid, and me, and there you go. Tint and Liquid take the same line there. Maybe might have been avoidable here. I think. Okay, I see what happened here. So I think Tint was up ahead of us at this point. Might have made a mistake and ended up crashing, and then spawned just as Liquid came in. Yeah, so you could see here that Tint accidentally crashed, or made a mistake and crashed. Then spawned just as Liquid came in, and yeah, just unfortunate bad timing, and just causes the collision between Liquid and Tint. It's just bad timing there. There's nothing that could have been done at that point, I think. Just unfortunate. Now heading into the final lap of race 1 of the finals. Now here I think I just tell myself, let's see how much distance we can get to Jelly, right? Because I wasn't gonna overtake him for sure, but I just wanted to see how close I can get. Yeah, once again, there would have been a lot better if I maintained the nose TPI so I can bleed off the G's and get a bit of acceleration boost, but I do still do the pitch well and keep too much yaw inputs there, and compromises this line. You see how wobbly that was? Yeah, 36.3. I did manage to get a nice push lap at the end there. For race number 1, P2. Race number 2 of the finals. I do maintain the exact same grid position that I did last race. This was completely random, right? So it's basically where AC puts you. As soon as you get the 3-2-1 go timer, you just stay put. So the people who deploy 7th and 8th can get on the grid, and then they gave us a manual countdown timer and we could go. So here you could see I'm already applying my throttle, so I'm hearing the countdown, and here we go. Lots of chaos going into turn 1 here. Everyone's just immediately pushing and boosting. Unfortunately, Tint crashes there. Nice three-way battle here between Jelly, Liquid, and myself. We're all, I think, on the... Ooh, there it is. There's the collision that I was looking for. Let me see if I can... So, oof. So there goes Tint. That's me and Jelly. So you could see actually there was a small glimpse of Jelly. Then the M50 is such a tiny ship. So right there's Liquid and Jelly. We're all taking the same line, so they start first so I can follow them through. So Liquid is right in front of us, and I don't know at this point, is Jelly next to me or behind me? I think if I'm seeing the radar correctly, that white dot in front of me is Liquid, and Jelly at this point is exactly behind me. Yeah, the pip is exactly behind me here. So as I go to pitch up... Oh. So as I go to pitch up, I think Jelly was just taking the exact same line as I did, but because of the speed difference, it just ends up ramming right through me. There's also could have been the case of desync, because in the finals we were rotating regions. So the first race was in the US servers, the second race was in the EU servers, and the last race was in the Australian server. So it could have been a little bit of ping issues here where, and in fact I think he doesn't even crash. No, I think it was just ping issues. I get stuck with the AC bug as well, so I have to wait until I regain control. Yeah, that's just unfortunate. It's just ping, because in fact Jelly didn't even feel it. Just an M50 went straight through a Razor. Obviously ignore the time of the first lap here, because we spent the first 30 seconds not... Ooh, that was a bit bad, but I think I managed to regain control here. Yeah. What I mean when I say those was a bit bad, it's when I aligned myself after this turn. So I think this turn was pretty okay. But here what I do is when I snap back, I do a bit too much like that. And I end up being already kind of like, the TVI is underneath my crosshair a bit too much, to the point where if I start my pitch now, I not only have to drag the TVI towards the turning point, but then I have to carry it with me. So you could see here that I start pitching into the turn before I align myself to the TVI. So this could have been very dangerous if I started my turn a little earlier. In fact, you could see that I kind of slowed down a little bit there and managed to still make the turn. It's just small adjustments that you'd have to make if you make a mistake like that. Pretty standard last section of the track here. And now at this point I'm just chasing the 36.4. That's not too bad considering the two errors that I made there. So here I try to take a nice straight line. I pitch up through it again, straighten, then pitch up, over pitch, snap down, nice. Again, you always want to try if possible, but obviously with all the stuff happening during the race, you might not consider a lot of these things. But if you're able to snap into the TVI and bring it with you instead of pitching for it, it's you'll just straight up be faster, honestly. So I still think, you know, a 36.1 there on the last lap, pretty good pace. At this point, you know, throughout the evening, I was making a lot of mistakes, and I was just constantly telling myself where I was making the mistakes and how I should be fixing them. And as the event went on, was improving more and more, and I was consistently getting those faster times and making a little bit less devastating errors, right? So I was still making a bit of mistakes if you were to compare them to how you would practice for like time trials or for really longer races where, you know, your pace matters, because, you know, boost management starts to become a thing and stuff like that. So you do want to try and build the good habits. But yeah, I mean, you won't always get the perfect run for a full race. You might get the perfect lap, but you won't get a perfect race all the time because you never know what's gonna happen. And it was quite some time, and there goes the countdown. You see my throttle is already going up. I'm holding on to space brake, timer goes 0, and we are off. Same thing that I tried to do in turn 1. I tried to get as close as possible I can to the corner. I hit there, I see Jelly, so I started my turn just a little early there, just so I can keep that outside line that eventually crosses into the inside line open. Worked like a charm there. No collisions, and both of us are kept to our line, and at this point I am just fully committing here. I believe Jelly did actually crash in that instance, so that was unfortunate there. Did allow me to gain the lead at this point, so I'm just trying to push as much as I can, and I just wanted to go full send at this point, so. Not the best turn 1 there, but this is a very good line here into this turn. That's perfect, and I even stayed within the XGR limitations of the hill. You could see there that I brought the TVI a little bit closer to the middle there just before I started the pitch. It allows you to really get that aero in. And here I just let myself glide in just to keep a little bit more speed because I knew that I was slightly alone here. So I said, you know what, just don't slow down as much. Got a 36.3 on that lap, pretty good. Decent turn in there. Full commitment here. It's a nice line. Now here I bring the TVI to my crosshair, you can see there, and I think here I actually got close to blacking out. You see the difference that makes? If you don't bring the TVI to you, if you don't snap the TVI here and instead do what I'm doing here and bring the TVI to the crosshair, you're constantly applying G's on yourself. And you could see at the G meter here that the G's are always pushing down on me still. And then when you go to pitch, you are adjusting. You see there? You hit all the way down. So you're applying constant strain on your body. And I get super close to blacking out here. So good thing straightened out in time. And at this point I said, okay, just take it slow, bleed off those G's. And we finish off that lap in P1, which was enough to get first place overall for this event with 16 points. Jelly got 14 points, and Liquid Prime and Energy actually had a tie for third place here, and they did do a 1v1 shootout, which Liquid Prime did in fact come out on top, netting us a 3 Sanguis Luna podiums for this event. So this was a fantastic event run by ANZIA Racing. This was the ACRUX tournament here, which once again consisted of the Razor and the M50. The next one will be happening on February 2nd, I believe. The next one is February 1st at 10 a.m. UTC. I'm not exactly sure, convert it to your own time zones. Yeah, that was the analysis of the Sim Racing League Day 1 for the ACRUX. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you for Day 2 of it.